Good morning, everybody. Welcome into Denver Sports Coffee Break presented by Bath Fitter. We got DMAC, Rachel Vihil hanging out with you for the next 45 minutes to an hour. Richie Carney also going to join us here in a little bit as he updates us on something exciting that happened last night. If you don't know me, I'm a pretty nosy person. I'm very open about my own life, so I'm always asking people questions about their own. We'll get into that later. But last night was a national championship game for the men's side of the NCAA tournament, DMAC. And how are you? How did you watch the game? What did you think of it?
I threw it on at some point,
Mm-hmm.
and neither team could seem to make a basket. And then it seemed to be an insurmountable lead when it stretched to 15. And then, San Diego State got it to 5. And then, it ended in a typical college sort of way. Nobody could hit a shot. And then they really, you want to talk about draining the energy out of a game. And I'm so glad it doesn't happen in the NBA that much. The foul stuff, Rachel. We're down by 7. Here's a foul, and it's another foul, and it's a foul, and they're fouling. The one thing about the NBA is they know when the game's over. Okay, and they just don't drag it out. It's kind of like when you play chess and you blunder your queen. And you look at the board and you're done. You just concede the game. That's a wrap. Well, that's what happens in the NBA. But in college basketball, and I would love to see the college basketball game where a team actually came from more than 10 points down with a minute to go and won by fouling. Yeah. I'm not saying they won because they hit 3 miracle 3-pointers in a row and got a steal. No, their strategy was to foul, and somehow they won. So I'm not trying to take anything away from UConn. Congratulations to them. But I think you inherently see what's going on when better players are just not playing college basketball. Yeah. I think it's wonderful that San Diego State got that far in Mountain West and all that. And you don't, and the women's final was a boring game too, aside from the fact you had, all of that stuff. Oh, your take on it, Rachel.
I'm totally with you. Honestly, I thought the women's game was way more interesting. The men's, it was so boring. But going back to what you said for San Diego State, a lot of people were like, oh, well, this makes sense that it's such a boring game because they were lower seeds or yada yada. I don't think that's what it is at all. I think it, like you kind of said, it's just college basketball in general. Don't get me wrong. They have the big moments, and the best part about March Madness are always when the 16 seed upsets the number 1 seed or any of those, or the absolute buzzer beater shots. But otherwise, there can be a lot of really, really slow moments in college basketball.
I still have a hard time too at championship moments getting over the whole of college sports too. And I know the kids can get paid now with NIL money. Thank God. There's something I didn't. And I heard yesterday, oh, well, it's NIL is going to ruin everything because smaller schools or other schools could just get better players away via paying them. And I think that's an interesting comment to make when the game's nationally televised and there's paying sponsors, all over the place. But I mean, and the coaches are getting paid a lot of money, and everybody else getting paid. So why wouldn't the kids get paid? I saw Charles Barkley say, "Oh, it's the worst thing ever," and I'm like, "Oh yeah, God forbid that the kids get paid all the money that's being thrown out over there." So there's moments to me that it's just like, and maybe I'm a little bit more sensitive with having a son who does play college sports. And while yeah, it would be amazing to be on that sort of stage, I just can't get over the fact, Rachel, these are college kids, and so I should give them a little bit more grace. I shouldn't expect college kids to play at the same level as the NBA. But I guess I'm just a bigger NBA fan because I'm just a fan of sports being competed at the highest level, not some sort of mid-range level. Although there's something about playing for the love of the sport. But are they playing for the love of the sport, or is it just a big commercial thing? So in all honesty, Rachel, I would rather go watch a high school basketball playoff rather than the NCAA tournament. That's me.
Okay. I would probably disagree with you on that one. However, one thing that I do not like about the national championship game is that they play it in a football stadium.
Yeah, that's a great point. It doesn't. Don't you think that's got to screw them up somehow? Why do they do that? I mean, why do they do it? I mean, well, I get it, but listen, man, I've been inside the Pepsi Center night after night with 19,000 people for a Nuggets game. you can't really get a lot more exciting or loud or whatever. I bet you it's louder. I guarantee you it's louder for a Nuggets game than it was for that national championship game. Because with 80,000 people, the sound is just going to dissipate it. I saw some of those seats. The Nuggets were there last night.
Yep.
And Jamal Murray was on Insta sort of showing where they were sitting, which weren't great seats. But, it's like, how is that fun? Like, how is that an enjoyable night?
You can't even see the ball. Like, you're so far up there that you're like, all right, unless you got 20/20 vision, how are you going to be able to narrow it down? Like, you are sitting so high up. And that's the part I don't like about the national championship. The energy is so much better when it's in a smaller arena. That's why basketball games can be so much fun, like you said, down at Ball Arena. But it's just, and then like the team's not even on the court. They have to be like below it because of the seating and
right.
I just hate it. I hate everything about it.
It's just, Rachel, I think you're hitting on something. It looks weird. All of a sudden, it doesn't look like a college basketball game. Rachel, I think that is a brilliant idea by you, that instead of these massive stadiums, what they should do is compete the national championship in classic basketball scenarios and campuses and make college basketball. I guarantee you, if they just did it at Cameron, at Duke, or some other classic college basketball locations, I guarantee you the game would be more interesting. It'd be harder to get a ticket. Can you imagine what those tickets would go for? But really, seriously, what do you need? You need the student section for one team with the band, the student section for the other team in the band, and we'll throw in a few alumni, and that's it. And that's probably 20,000 people, or I'm sorry, maybe that's 8,000 people. And I think it would give a more interesting college basketball look to the whole thing. So I don't know who's making all this money, Rachel. Like, I mean, that is such a great question. Like, who makes the money? Where is all the money going to with the ticket sales, and what is the advantage of the sport being competed in such a large venue? I mean, for whose benefit is that? It's not for the kids, that's for sure.
I mean, yeah, you can get more sponsors in there. Like, there's so much more you can do at a football stadium, which Jake made a great point to me. Probably another reason you could add onto the list of why the Broncos should build a new stadium, because if you can add a roof, you can host that event, which can make you a ton of money. But you have more sponsors. You have celebrities that go in for the national championship game. Like, you just essentially need more seats than the student section, an alumni section, and a couple of other fans.
Well, here's what we did at Syracuse. Now, Syracuse always had one of the biggest basketball arenas, still does, more than 30,000 for a college basketball game. Well, here's what they would do. They would have it inside the dome, and they would have a gargantuan curtain that they would put up around on the football field, like 35 yards. And then they would have mobile stands that they would erect on the other side of the curtain, a huge curtain. But they would sell the upper levels of the the football arena. So you really would. This is back in the 80s and early 90s, Rachel, when Syracuse had Georgetown or UConn in one of these big games. Rachel, there would be 30-something thousand people out there for a college basketball game. And you know what? That felt all right. That felt actually pretty exciting. So I think they're actually on to something. Maybe they could still keep it in a bigger arena, but cut down the size of it and make it feel somehow more intimate. Make it feel like a real college basketball game. I guess that's my only critique. And don't forget, in the earlier rounds, it is really exciting because you do have more a feeling of the fans and the band and the upsets, and the camera angles are, I don't know. I think you're right. It just looks weird. I think because it looks weird, it plays weird. And it was I don't know. It was just a weird game. I think part of the problem too, not a problem. I'm sure they did just fine. Although I am kind of dying to know what the ratings were, because the women's game did what, like 9.2 million, something like that.
Yep.
So what were the ratings for the men's game? Because the women's game killed it.
I was going to say, Jake, if you can look that up, I would actually love to know too. I think it's interesting. Like you mentioned, though, Jamal Murray and the Nuggets were in attendance at the game last night. Their seats were not very good at all, but they're obviously down in Houston because they're going to play the Rockets tonight. And 1 is the magic number. That's all they need. They need to win 1 game in order to get the number 1 seed, or they need a Grizzlies loss. But how are you feeling tonight considering how bad of a team the Rockets are?
Great. I'm feeling great. I mean, I think there's plenty of motivation to get this thing locked up in 3 quarters
Mm-hmm.
and clinch it. And then, the other 3 games are complete gravy. Who cares? You can rest guys, develop guys more. Maybe we can see a little bit more of Christian Brown and Peyton Watson on the court. Maybe you see if Thomas Bryant's got anything left. I don't know. You can really do some fun, interesting things in the final 3 games. And in terms of Jokic, he's done enough. Either he's earned the MVP or, well, first of all, I think he's earned the MVP, MV3. But if not, so be it. I am over that conversation. I am completely over it. I don't find it very interesting. I find the reasons to not give him to give him the award ridiculous. And I'm just kind of over it. Period. I think he should win it, and I certainly don't think they should do anything extraordinary, Rachel, to try to help him get in these final games that mean nothing. Tonight, you win the game. They don't do it in the NBA, but they deserve to pop champagne corks and celebrate a long season of an amazing accomplishment. And they know what the real deal is. They've been focused on the real deal for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
But don't tell me that this isn't a cool, significant accomplishment. This is the goal at the beginning of the regular season. You want to have home court advantage and win the Western Conference. You want to win your division and win the West. And then you want to win the NBA champion. And then you want to win the, playoffs and the championship, that sort of thing. But you can't do one without doing the other. Well, you can win the NBA championship without winning the West. That's true. But if you have a goal and you just want to accomplish it, what's wrong with accomplishing that goal and celebrating it? So I think tonight's a big night for the Nuggets, and I hope they trounce the Rockets and they pull it out. Not winning tonight would suck, actually. Because winning.
Question is, we still don't know if Jokic will play. I saw the comment pop up. Stay tuned to denversports.com. We'll keep you updated as soon as we hear anything about that. Jake, of course, is on the back end seeing if anything will come up, but we probably won't hear till later this afternoon. That would be my guess. I'm actually kind of different than you. I am on team do not celebrate. No celebrations. You should have one goal and one goal only, and that is to win an NBA title. Nothing else matters. So no celebration for me. I'm team no celebration.
So you don't like what baseball does?
No.
I gotta admit, it does feel a little silly. And I've been in I've been lucky enough to be in the locker rooms for all teams here in Denver when they've won a division or something in the regular season. Okay.
Who does it best? Who celebrates best?
Well, I gotta say it's the Rockies. Because it's so much fun. Listen, you can't take away how much fun it actually is.
Yeah.
And you let the media go in there and you're jumping up and down and getting things sprayed on you and around you, and you're just there with the fellas like you're part of the team. It's a little bit over the top and ridiculous, to be honest with you. But it happened recently, 4 and 5 years ago in back-to-back years.
Uh-huh.
And the one time was great because you're never quite sure when you're going to clinch. And there was one year I was with my wife and my youngest son, and we just happened to go to this game. Maybe they will, maybe they won't, who knows? Well, they ended up clinching before the game because the right team lost, and the Rockies lost the game. So it was kind of a weird feeling. And I'm walking by the elevator that you would take because I just watched I had a credential, but I was walking by I was sitting in the stands with my family. And I go to my family, I go, hey, can you just hang on a second? Would you mind? And they go, okay, fine. And I go down, and it was hysterical. My timing was unreal. I just walked down, got in the locker room, 10 minutes. I was only there for 10 minutes. And I got a bunch of interviews and great videos. And if you really want to go back in my timeline, Rachel, back to that time, you can find it on Twitter. It's fantastic. Mm-hmm. And then I come back 10 minutes later, and I see my wife and my son, and I'm drenched in beer and champagne and all. So I'm all right, let's go. My jacket was ruined. I think we had to throw away my jacket because it was awful. It was drenched and smelled, and
you didn't want your car to smell like that for months.
The car I definitely got a little flack from my wife about getting in the car, what it was going to smell like, and you guys. So I caught some heat for it. It did not come out without some consequence. I don't know. I think it's fun. I think you're probably right. It's over the top. listen, maybe it's a nice dinner or something. Maybe there's some sort of recognition. Maybe there's a hat or a T-shirt passed out. I don't know. But hey, man, it's a hell of an accomplishment for the Nuggets, and I think they'll wrap it up. By the way, we got a Sports NATO tonight because the Avalanche could wrap up a playoff spot tonight too, and the Rockies play a baseball game. So could be some big things for both teams tonight.
And what are we going to get tonight after the Rockies baseball game?
We all go to bed. I don't know. What do we get?
Something specifically from you. Don't make me have to rely to Clint in the comments.
Yeah, positive things. I was struggling on that one. Give me one more day on that concept.
Okay.
I'll tell you this. If I can't figure out, or if I don't do it tonight, then it's done for the year. It'll never happen. But I'm watching the game last night when they gave up 7 runs in like the bottom of the 4th after scoring 4 runs in the top of the 4th. Mm-hmm. And then they just, get clown hammered in the bottom. And I'm like, well, what the hell is good about this? Like, I will give you something good. CJ Crone got like player of the week because he hit like 468 with a bunch of home runs and RBI. Like CJ Crone was like the best player in the National League for the first week of the season. How about that?
I know the Rockies suck, but CJ Crone.
CJ
Crone. Say.
All right. You got it. I'll give it a shot. And if I don't do it tonight, I'm not a man of my word. I'm completely full, and it's over. But I'll be watching it all tonight. It's a fun night to sit back and watch TV for sure. Yes. If you can watch stuff on TV.
On that note, we'll look ahead to brighter days when it comes to the playoffs. Although I guess for the Nuggets, I still think that they're on altitude for the first round, so I don't think you can actually.
Really?
I'm 90% sure, yeah.
Wow.
Oh, Jake just told me they're on national, so I lied to everybody. You can still watch it. So we'll look ahead to brighter days, but you know what? It could be a tough first round for the Nuggets. They could end up playing the Lakers, the Warriors, or the Clippers. All teams that are very good, and then if they advance, they could likely play the Suns. That's a brutal start to the playoffs, but I'm also like, hey, get it over early, like build some confidence.
You gotta play good teams in the playoffs.
Yep.
I understand why the team that I would not worry about whatsoever is the Warriors. They cannot win games on the road. I don't care if Wiggins comes back, and I'm not scared of the Clippers either by any stretch. Am I scared of the Lakers? No, not really.
I'm scared of the Lakers than I am the Warriors.
Rachel, I can't explain it. I don't know why, but they are 9-30 on the road. They blew a 15-point lead to a Nuggets team without Nikola Jokic. They couldn't figure how to close out, and Klay Thompson and Steph Curry were a combined like 17 of 58 from the field. Rachel, I don't know. I can't explain it. I don't know why, but they just stink this year on the road. And with home court advantage, now they're very good at home. Very, very good at home. But at the end of the day, you got to beat a team on the road if you don't have the home court advantage. And I don't know how the Warriors do it. They haven't done it all year.
I know Jake is agreeing with you right now. He's probably like pumping his fist or something. And if Will Peterson's watching, here.
I told you.
You guys, they were picked to win the title last year, and look what happened. They just turn into this team that you're like, who the heck are you guys?
Well, and it's not what
you're going to get with them. That's what's scary.
But you do, at least without Andrew Wiggins. The thing is, the biggest thing that came out of the Warriors the last week was not them losing to the Nuggets. It's that Andrew Wiggins should be returning, which, again, has been their second best player for the last 2 years. So that actually tips the scales a little bit, but I'm not really concerned. And D-Mac says, I don't know why there are these issues on the road. I do. I got little birdies. There's a rift in that locker room. It's been there since Draymond Green and Jordan Poole got in that altercation. They struggle to go on the road and coexist as a team. That's a real thing. Their young guys and their older guys do not get along. And that's why they try to shake things up by trading Wiseman for Gary Payton, one of the older guys that they've had before at the deadline. They've tried to build around this. But to answer your question, Rachel, and off of Will's story, from yesterday on DenverSports.com, Lakers are decent. Like, they're getting better. They're 6-0 since the trade deadline when they're starting 5 plays. Like, that's actually a team that's starting to get hot and look okay, but they don't match up well with the Nuggets. Anthony Davis is a power forward instead of playing center instead of power forward like he did in the bubble. It's just Nikola Jokic bucket after bucket on Davis. Let's talk about the Clippers. Remember Paul George hitting the side of the backboard against the Nuggets? Yep. Okay, the Clippers haven't won against the Nuggets since. Okay, that's over. The team that actually concerning here, which Will actually wrote in his article, would be a team that he would want to face, is the Pelicans. They've been terrible for the last 3 months since Zion got hurt. And Zion's in that Jamal Murray thing from last year, Will. Will he go? Will he not go? A healthy Zion on the Pelicans, that was the 3rd best team in basketball for most of the year. So that's a very scary team, but there's a real chance the Nuggets can face the Timberwolves still. There's a real chance the Nuggets can play the Thunder, by the way. D-Mac, do you remember what Michael Malone said about playing the Thunder earlier this year?
I don't. Tell me.
He said it's like getting a root canal.
Ooh.
So there you go.
Okay, well, one of the best parts about this show is, of course, we are live and we have the ability to ask people. So I'm putting a poll on, if you're watching us on YouTube, go tell us who worries you the most for the Nuggets in round 1. We're just going to do the 3 teams we talked about. I know Jake named 2 more that they could possibly see, but I'm curious to see what people are going to say. Jake, as always, appreciate you. And I know you were happy with what D-Mac was saying. I'm so worried about the Warriors. Steph Curry, you never know what can happen with them, but I would be happy if that dynasty is going down there.
Like Walter White told his wife, I am the danger. I am the one who knocks. That is the Nuggets. Never mind them being afraid. It's other teams that should be afraid of playing the Nuggets, rightfully so. They are the one who knocks. They're not afraid to answer the door.
I love it. All right, so far we got 50% going for the Warriors in there. I'm with all of you. Let's move on to the Colorado Avalanche now, D-Mac, because they, again, like you said, play tonight, which will be fun. I'm actually excited. They can clinch a playoff spot. And they play the Sharks. And again, for all the people, I put a what to know about what you need to know about the Sharks, because I know a lot of people are trying to get into hockey here, which we love to see. But the Sharks, they're not a very good team either. They are 8-20-10 in home games. And I love that they call their arena the Shark Tank.
Yeah, I've been to at the root canal. It's not one of the better barns in the NHL. Sadly, deeply intimate with the city of San Jose, and wish I wasn't so deeply intimate with San Jose, but I am. And the fact that the Avs are actually stuck there for 3 days is confounding. The San Jose is just, there's not a lot going on in the downtown. It's really a suburb city. I mean, it's Santa Clara and Palo Alto are right nearby, but there's no character there. It's just kind of like, you're an hour from San Francisco. So I mean, out you're doing, I don't know. This feels like a weird, torturous 3 days for the Avalanche to kill time just living in San Jose for 2 games. So 4 days, really, right? Because they would have got there yesterday, games today, Wednesday, game Thursday, 4 days in San Jose straight. I just spent 4 days in San Jose straight. It's not that great, trust me.
You got any restaurant recommendations?
Well, I mean, if you want to go to Los Gatos or you want to go to Saratoga, you can finally, maybe even Campbell, off the beaten path, you can find some, and I mean, if you had time, you can go dip your toes in the ocean in Santa Cruz, going through the mountains for about 40 minutes. I mean, you could do all of these things. Mm-hmm. Other than that, you're living in the strip mall in Santa Clara. That's there is a Topgolf there. If the guys want to hit some golf balls, probably near where. Listen, Rachel, what can I tell you? They're just going to get through this. This is bizarre scheduling, to say the least. There's really not a whole heck of a lot to know about San Jose. They used to be good. And they do get into the Baby Shark song. They love the Baby Shark song. They do not, right. They don't take it as an insult. I don't know even what to tell you about the Sharks that you need to know. They stink. And the Avs should, weren't the Sharks the team that did not even get a shot against the Avalanche in the third period relatively recently? I don't know. It's one of those. Rachel, they stink. And the Avs have plenty of motivation. let's go, Mikko. Let's get goal number 50 tonight, maybe 50 and 51, right? And make that, Chase a little bit more interesting. And let's just wrap it up. They win tonight. There's a bunch of different scenarios where they can get in the playoffs tonight. But the simplest scenario is to beat a bad team and you're in the playoffs.
Yep. Get a W. Is it better to do W like this or like this? Which one looks more like a W?
Neither of them look like a W.
Oh, well, that's kind of depressing.
Yeah.
Get a W. That's all I'm saying. I know last time that they played the Sharks. Last time they played the Sharks, Nathan MacKinnon got 2 goals. I do remember that. I don't remember the third period stat that you were saying, but I'm here for Mikko. Mikko's got to show up. You kind of hope that I'm always here for team wins first, but you kind of hope that maybe they'll give them a little extra if they really have the upper hand on the Sharks.
Well, I don't think they need to really do anything to help Mikko. I mean, he's on their first line. He's on the power play. The only thing they could... the only thing they could do to help Mikko, but then it would have to be kind of a close game for an empty net possibility. I just don't think it's going to be, it'd have to be a 2-goal game for the Sharks to even go empty net. I don't know. I got the Avs winning this one like 6-1.
I was going to say that.
Something like that. I don't know what the number's at, but I see I don't know. We'll see, I guess, but I see a total domination. Mm-hmm. This Avs team is pretty fired up these days, Rach. They're pretty fired up. They're definitely they're past the burned out stage. Mm-hmm. They're past the dog days stage. They are really focused. Even in that Minnesota game, they had a bad first period, but they really didn't play bad the rest of the game, despite losing in regulation. And then they had a really good game against Dallas. So I think they're on the right trend. And I think they win. And I think they win big tonight. And I do think Mikko, who's out there all the time anyways, I don't think they have to do anything special. He's Mikko. I think he gets goal number 50 tonight. Which
game last week was more impressive for you?
The Dallas game by a mile. I mean, the Dallas game was the best home win of the year. It was the most important game. It was the time that they had to step up, and they did. Mm-hmm. Dallas was coming off a game the night before against Arizona, so okay. I mean, you're not probably getting their absolute best, but they played with their Ottinger, their starting goalie, in back-to-back nights. I mean, they were trying. They were trying their absolute best to win that game. And if you look at the standings, that is a really close race in the Central Division. So not only will the Avs clinch a playoff spot tonight, but because they have the tiebreaker against Dallas and Minnesota, they will be in first place. So if they do win tonight, they will control their own destiny in the Central Division. So that would definitely help towards, having home ice in the playoffs.
And you know what? That was actually a really stupid question because they lost against the Wild. That was a dumb question by me, but because they've been such like a dominant team in the teams the games they have won, I just completely skipped the game against the Wild in my head because, they got and lost in that game.
Well, it's been an odd month because they played some really bad teams and taking care of business. Yeah. And good teams, they've lost. Yep. Till the Dallas game. So that Dallas game really stands out. Just like that win against Golden State the other day really stood out for the Nuggets. That was, all things considered, that might have been the best home win of the... So you might have had on back-to-back days at Ball Arena the best home win for the Avalanche, and the next night, the best home win by the Nuggets. Listen, it's the best home win by the Nuggets because you had to do it with Nikola Jokic. So you needed to prove that you could at least compete without Nikola, never mind, win and hang on, and then come from behind, too, because they were down by 15. So good things all in all. And then you have John Mayer at Ball Arena last night. My body is not a wonderland.
We'll get to that in just a second. There is a lot of good news, though, coming out from the Avs. Injury front, I guess I should say. They need this help really bad, especially in these final games to kind of get the chemistry flowing, too, with everybody who's been on IR.
Well, and I think it was important. They took all the injured guys on the road with them, which happen all the time. But it is an unusual circumstance because they're in one place for, Monday night, Tuesday night, and Wednesday night.
4 days in
a row, and then they go down to LA. So they're on a week-long road trip.
Yep.
I think it's a good moment because even if the guys aren't that close to returning with Francouz, Manson, Landeskog, it keeps them with the team. There's a lot of other sort of bonding moments. That's really interesting to hear from Jake. I did not know that that the Warriors don't even like each other. That is a serious problem. The Avalanche are a super tight-knit group, at least they have been. And I think it's important to spend time with each other because they just get along with each other so well, and they tend to play better on the road anyway. So I like the fact that they're taking these injured guys who can get their rehab, be around the team, and sort of stay connected this whole time, and hopefully that'll be an advantage going into the playoffs.
Well, and D-Mac, you and I know, if there was like no shot at all, they wouldn't take them because travel can be really hard on your body too. So like if there was absolutely like no way that anyone was going to see it, it's either they're not going to see it for a long time, so it's okay they can absolutely travel, or they got to be really close to coming back.
Yeah, we're getting there. You know, it's funny because the Nuggets season is only 4 games. They still have 7 games for the Avalanche. It's like there's still some work to do, and it's great to just cinch a playoff spot.
Yeah.
But then you're worried about seeding and different things. And, you know, in hockey, though, it really is not that important. It's not – I don't think you get the same advantage at home as you do in some of these other sports, Rachel, and hockey. And one of the reasons is just the nature of hockey itself. I mean, once you get down on the rink, you know, you can really feel the crowd in a basketball game, in a football game, in a baseball game. It is weird in hockey. If you've ever, you know, if you're lucky enough to ever sit low, there's a certain buzz, but there's a loudness that just, it's easy to drown out the crowd. Like the crowd just doesn't feel like they have as big of an impact. And I think that's why in the NHL playoffs, you see so many upsets so often. You know, and look at the Avs last year on the road. It's just, you know, it's just not that big of a deal. So seeding is like so-so. What you care much more about is how well you're all playing together. So even if you drop down a seed or 2, as long as you make the playoffs and you're doing all right, then it kind of doesn't matter, depending on who you might play. And as you find out, I mean, Rachel, once you get to the playoffs, you're playing good teams all the time. You know, that's what it's all about. There's no easy way through the playoffs in any round.
Yeah. We don't like basketball games to be played in football arenas, but how do you feel about the stadium series in the NHL?
Oh, I think that's fun. You know, I think the season is, well, I think that's a lot different because, you know, first of all, hockey's hockey. The sight lines for a puck aren't really impacted. Like basketball is like literally impacted how you see a basket and depth perception, all that actually matters.
True.
None of that matters in hockey. I think the players just find it a hoot. It's just kind of fun. I don't think it's great hockey because the ice surfaces are, you know, usually kind of, you know, below average because of just outdoors. Listen, these guys, Rachel, you think they're growing up playing on ponds? You know, these guys are young. All these guys have ever done since they were probably 8 or 9 years old, they've been on every elite team you can imagine. Yep. All these guys do, Rachel, is play on perfect sheets of ice. They're not out there with like Wayne Gretzky's dad with a hose filling up things in the backyard. I mean, I'm not saying that doesn't possibly exist somehow, but I'd say like at age 6, you're ditching that for the indoor arena pretty quick. True. So the whole concept of like hockey the way it used to be is, you know, not for these guys. I think it's, you know, maybe for my grandfather, you know, the way it used to be when he started the Hingham Skating Club in, you know, 1922. But aside from that, I don't know. I was at the game at Coors Field. I had a fun time. I mean, it was all right. Yeah. You know, it's old. You know, I don't know. I'm a baby. You know, just give me great hockey. Give me speed and excitement. Give me the indoor thing. You know, that to me is a lot more fun. But I don't know. If you want to put 100,000 people, it's hard to see the puck now. I mean, you know, what are you doing if you're in section 500?
Yeah.
Do you like going outside to see hockey played outside?
I went to the NHL game that was at the Air Force Academy.
Oh my God, I heard that was awful.
Yeah, it was not fun. And the way you're sitting was just like so awkward. Like I felt like I was just staring at the glass. Like there was no real elevation, I felt like, which is already hard, right? If you're sitting up above, it's hard to see the hockey puck. That's just part of the game of hockey if you don't have really great vision. So I don't know, it was awkward. I wouldn't recommend.
I heard it was like raining. I think the last person to get home from that game got home yesterday. The traffic was so bad. I mean, I heard it was a miserable experience.
I'm pretty sure we didn't get stuck in the traffic because I want to say we left early.
Well, there you go.
I think because they were losing pretty bad. I can't remember the exact thing. It was like 3 years ago or whatever. But I'm pretty sure that they were losing. And so we were like, well, let's get out of here because this could be a nightmare. And it was muddy because it was like rain, slush going on. It was just not. I wouldn't recommend. I'd rather go to Ball Arena and be just in a controlled environment. Let's just stick with that.
Me too. What can I tell you? I do like traveling to other places to see how they do the game presentation. So it was really, really fun to experience in the playoffs last year. Nashville, St. Louis, Edmonton, especially Edmonton, and really, really surprised happily by Tampa. I mean, that was actually pretty amazing. And they do have serious issues because it's very warm and muggy. So they're right on the bay. They're right on the water.
Yeah.
So they have conditions like that don't exist anywhere else because of what they have to deal with. But I thought they did a wonderful job taking care of the ice and all that stuff. It was a unique setting. I really enjoyed it. Other than that, a Ball Arena crowd for a Nuggets and Avs game is just top notch, Rachel. Each team, their games are sold out every single time. There's tons of excitement, and it's been a real lot of fun for the past couple of years watching both teams.
I actually really like the lightning that they do. Like,
isn't that cool?
Man, that's so sick.
Yeah.
Like, I remember seeing your videos last year from being down there, and I was like, that's really cool.
I agree. Like, every arena has its own kind of niche. I've never seen presentation of a hockey game like I have in Las Vegas. I mean, I would urge anybody to go see a Golden Knights game, no matter who they play, and they are really into it. That fan base is so into it. So, you know, the only crowd that was like, man, do you guys even care? Was the Nashville crowd. When in Game 3 there was it's like they forgot the game had started.
Yeah.
And nobody was around. You know, it was weird. And that's Bridgestone's a very old stadium, and I don't know. That one to me was like, yeah. But then you walk outdoors and you're on Broadway, which is one of the best nightlife areas in America. Yeah. So it's like you kind of forget about the stupid stadium, and you know you're in downtown Nashville. It's pretty cool. Listen, it's so much fun to go see your teams go on the road, and some of these places. I've never been to Dallas. Never saw a game in Minnesota. Never been to Seattle. I've never even been to Seattle. Never been to Calgary or Winnipeg or any of these places either. So, you know, any new adventure I'm all for. I know you love traveling too, and, you know, you love going on the road.
I do. Okay, biggest victory margin for tonight with obviously both the Nuggets and Avs. Who's going to win bigger?
Oh, wow. Wow, that is a great question.
Right.
Well, what would you equate 6-1 in hockey to basketball? Is that a 20-point win? 25-point win, 30-point win?
I would say like a 30-point win. 6-1.
6-1. All right, then I'm going to go the Avalanche because I don't think the Nuggets quite win by 30. I think they win by 20-ish points, and I think the Avalanche win pretty easy. So okay. I'll go with the Avs, but I think both teams are going to cruise tonight.
I'm with you, and I'm also going to take the Avs. If our Joker plays, then I think it could be up there. We could possibly see another triple-double out of him, which obviously helps.
I think they could put me and Jake Shapiro out there for the Nuggets tonight, and they're going to be okay. I seriously, they know they got a lot to play for.
Yeah.
They know. They know if they just dial it in tonight. And you know what? I think the Nuggets are going to be a little charged up too. Why? They went to the National Basketball Championship last night. I think that's a kind of a cool sort of, you know, motivational sort of thing. I think they've had a fun couple of days down there. What a fun benefit for them, timing-wise, to be there and to be able to see the National Championship game. I saw Colin Gillespie, national champion from Villanova, go give his coach Jay Wright a big hug. Jay Wright's on the broadcast, so that was a really cool moment that I saw Katie Wingy post earlier. So I think they're actually having a pretty cool trip. You know, I think a lot of road trips can be a drag. Not this one. I think it's really been fun, and I think they're going to be energized with that big win. I think they're going to come out on absolute fire tonight. I don't think they're burned out at all. I think they know what they can clinch by winning tonight, and then I'll just, you know, ease things off going into the playoffs, which I think is actually good. So I think they come out on fire. I just think the Avs have equal amounts of motivation against a really subpar team too. Both teams should win relatively easily, and that'll make us feel better when we watch the Rockies lose by 7 or 8 runs later that day.
So the Dodgers. Nuggets are -9, Avs are -1.5. Are you taking both?
Oh, yeah. Like, let's go.
Yep.
Are you kidding me? Yeah.
I'm with you.
I mean, this is almost a, this is a yes, 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 and yes. Yes, 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 yes.
Sign me up. Add the check marks. GMAC, the Broncos, they're teasing us with some stuff, though, and I don't know how I feel about it. So they posted a picture yesterday on their social media channels of a white helmet. How do you feel about a white helmet coming this fall 2023? And is it just the helmet, or do we think a uni is coming with it?
Well, I think clearly a uniform would come with it, too. I didn't know what to think at first, but I saw some mock-ups, and I saw a really cool one of, like, the white helmet with the blue old school D logo with the horse coming through, and then a white on white, right? But with like blue number outlined in orange and then stripes on the sleeves. And I was like, wow, that looks pretty amazing. That looks pretty sleek and pretty cool. And I think sometimes these helmets, they're not like white. They're kind of like that. Am I saying it right? Matte, M-A-T-T-E, sort of that sort of thing. It's like got a different sort of look. And I think it's going to be cool.
They need to replicate in obviously their own way, but the Bengals white uniform is sick.
Okay. All right.
That's kind of the white that they need to follow for sure. I do think it's interesting because I just never pictured the Broncos in white. Like, I just only picture orange and blue, obviously. So, like, a white uniform, it's going to have to be pretty special, but I'm not going to lie, I could see it being really cool, and one of those you've got to go buy because it's that cool.
Well, I mean, they've been wearing white tops, though, for years and years and years on the road, so I guess it kind of...
Those are so bad.
Well, I don't know.
I have one, like, right over here. You can't see it on the screen, but I'm like, they're just so bad.
Here's where I am with uniforms. I am, slowly devolving into, like, looking like a grandfather from the 50s. But, despite that, I am all for new and innovative things basically in everything. So I'm never going to be one that says, well, it should just be one way or another. I'm always open to something cool and something new. And Syracuse, my home college, went with some white helmets. And you got to understand something, Rachel. I've been dealing with orange my entire life. My high school was the Ipswich Tigers, okay, which is orange and black. My school was literally the orange. The orange men, that's now it's, we're more politically correct. We're just the orange. My school was literally called Orange. And then I've been out here. And when I was in third grade, a long time ago, I was a big Broncos fan living there in Steamboat, going to Mrs. Stanko's third grade class. There you go with the orange. And then I've been living here since 99. Hello, orange. So, I mean, this is kind of ridiculous how long I've been stuck with orange. Who else is stuck with the color orange that long in their life? So I've been dealing with it. So if you want to throw some white in, fine by me. I mean, I think I've had it with the orange. Enough with the orange. Look, I have orange on my coffee mug right there.
What's so funny is orange is my favorite color. So I'm like, give me all the orange. Everything, please. I've got behind you guys is an orange wall. I've obviously got the orange Champ Bailey jersey, like behind me. I love the color orange. You will see me in it every chance I get.
Awesome. I love orange too. But listen, you can mix it up a little bit. It's going to be fine by me. I know with these uniforms, it's multiple designs. It's never just one thing. And, the Oregon Ducks, Rachel, they have a different helmet, different uniform for like every game. So if the Broncos really wanted to mix and match, go for it. Yeah. I mean, I don't, what do I care? I mean, let's have some fun with it, go for it. I don't think, here's my opinion. I don't think they can go wrong. I don't think they can make a wrong decision. You just know you won't get unanimous approval on anything.
Oh, no.
I mean, nothing.
No.
So Have fun. I hope the fans like it. They're doing a bunch of research on it. There's really, listen, this is what we're talking about. That shows you how little news is going on with the Broncos right now. They signed a backup center, Kyle Fuller, and nobody cares about that because we have helmets to talk about.
Yep. People love stadium talk, new
I know.
uniforms. That's like the top of the top. There was also some other news that came out yesterday about the Broncos, but it's definitely not good news, D-Mac.
What's that?
There was an arrest down in Florida.
Yeah, Faion Hicks.
Yep.
Yeah. Listen, I understand the rights that we have in America to have firearms. Okay, I'm not protesting against the Second Amendment, and I do know in certain the way certain people operate, like it's keys, wallet, phone, gun. I do understand and get that. I just am a little sad about that. So while I'm not trying to say, take anything away, I do sit here and I say, well, why? Like, why do you need to be, are you within your rights? Or can you do it? Well, actually, you can't do it. That's what he got in trouble for. That's what he got arrested for. So actually, you can't do what he did. But to feel like you need to do that, I think that's a bummer, man. I think that's a bummer. If you do live in a situation, my advice is if you have the financial wherewithal, if you live in a situation where you feel like that has to be part of your life, I would suggest moving and putting yourself, if you could afford it, to be in a better situation. And if you're a member of the Denver Broncos, I mean, just, you could just live here and live in, Greenwood Village and have an apartment, somewhere near the facility. And I don't know, you'd probably be okay. But listen, I don't want to question other people's culture. It's just to me, it's a sad thing. I don't know what this means for Faion Hicks in the long haul. Usually, Rachel, when you're a borderline sort of player, it's like that scale, mess around and find out, and usually the mess around factor for guys so low on the totem pole is not very high. So we'll see what happens.
Okay, so you mentioned like Greenwood Village, whatever. I have a friend who doesn't live in the Highlands Ranch area, if you're familiar with Colorado, but he lives like a little bit up north. His car got broken into yesterday in his parking garage of his apartment, and they tried to do the like Hyundai Kia deal thingy, where they like hijack your car, and I'm like, hey.
Yeah, I mean, there's bad stuff that happens. Unfortunately, my son, who lives in San Jose, had his car broken into as well just the other day. It's a scary situation. You don't like that happening. Our own Nate Jackson he got it's crazy what happened to Nate in his vehicle. So yeah, bad stuff. I don't know, Rach. I hope Faion Hicks is okay in terms of how this works out for him. From what I understand, and I am not an expert at this whatsoever, there's a new law that passed in Florida that if you got pulled over a couple of days later, I guess I was told he'd be okay. I haven't done that much research into it, so I probably should stop there with offering my opinion on it. I hope it works out all right. Guns, the gun stuff, Rachel. I don't know. I don't get the gun stuff. I'm not a gun guy. I'm not trying to stop anybody from being a gun person, but it's just, hey man, it's just not my slice of bread. What can I tell you?
And what's funny to me and what stood out is I was like, your license was expired. That was my thing. And I was like, come on, man. But I also know that so many of those athletes, they don't even have to deal with stuff like that.
I'll cut them slack on that. I had the same thing happen to me when I was a young person. Yep.
Really?
Got arrested for it. I was crossing the border from Canada back to Niagara Falls, U.S. When I was living in Buffalo. My license had expired by about 4 or 5 days. You used to have your registration for your vehicle on your front windshield. I had just got married and our insurance had turned over from one thing to another. So I'm driving around with a messed up registration, an expired license, and no insurance. Because I did have insurance, but there was a lapse and it looked like I was suspended. I'm crossing back into United States of America, and in less than a half hour, I'm in cuffs in the back of a police cruiser. No joke. And Rachel, it was all my own dumb fault. I was in my 20s, and sometimes in your 20s, and not even just in your 20s, but sometimes in life, you're just not as responsible with the little things in life that you need to take care of.
That's
So
fair.
yeah, I mean, you got a license. It renews every 5 years. But it used to be you used to have to go to the DMV and sit in that old rigmarole. You don't have to do anything like that now. So I cut him a little slack on that. I mean, for same thing happened to me. So I cannot say I'm an innocent. I have a whole jail story, Rachel, too. There's more. And we could have a whole podcast about me being locked up in the Niagara Falls jail cell.
Oh my gosh, well, we will definitely get to that tomorrow because that's a story I want to hear for sure. Richie Carney is here, though, and he went to John Mayer last night down at Ballerita, so I definitely want to bring him in. Richie, how are you this morning, my friend?
I'm doing well. How are you, Rachel?
I'm good. Okay, so hit me with all the John Mayer deets because I'm intrigued.
Okay, so prior to this, I'm aware of John Mayer, but I wouldn't call myself like a John Mayer fan. I knew some of his songs, and we were kind of going through that exercise yesterday afternoon, but I was really impressed. He's a phenomenal guitarist and musician. Like he admitted at multiple points during the concert, it was a 2.5 hour solo acoustic set, which I think is impressive to stand up there by yourself for 2.5 hours.
No way.
And just play. Yeah. He hit the stage at 8:50 and we were done at almost 11.
Did he use like a loop or other instruments, like kind of like that? Who's the redhead guy? Ed Sheeran does.
No, he didn't. I didn't notice a lot of that, with the exception of maybe one song that he did it because he wanted to play some really ridiculous, extra guitar solos and things like that while keeping the melody. At one point, he played the piano and the guitar at the same time during a song, and he had the Billy Joel harmonica necklace while playing the guitar.
He was the only guy on the stage.
Only guy on the stage the whole night. And
wow, that's
the other thing they brought out the double neck guitar at one point, so it was a 12-string guitar and a 6-string guitar on the same thing, and he switched between the 12-string and the 6-string for different verses of the song, kind of like seamlessly. So he's a phenomenal musician, and I recognized more songs than I thought I would, that I just kind of forgotten that he sang. But ultimately, if you were to ask me, my biggest takeaway from the concert at the end of the day was that most of the problems in my life are the result of the fact that I just didn't grow up to become John Mayer. Like,
explain.
That's it. Everything wrong in my life can be traced back to basically that, because he is the most unassuming, normal-looking John that's ever existed. He looks like every white guy named John that you've ever met. And he's got this amazing musical talent. And even though he's kind of like, you can tell, like a quirky dude, like maybe a little neurotic or whatever, he has this like unbelievable sense of like cockiness or swagger. That's like, I get it. I get it. Like, I was looking around, he had every person in that predominantly female arena just like putty in his hands for 3 hours. And it was like, I was like, every guy here has to know that their significant other is only with them because John Mayer's not interested.
Right.
And that, I just want to experience that kind of power once in my life, that he looked out on a stadium of 30,000 people and was like, I own this place.
Okay, hold on. Wait, hold on. I want to give a little like pre-story to why Richie is on here. I'm driving to where I was watching the national championship game. Richie hopped on the drive with D-Mac and Derek Wolf yesterday, and they're talking about like, oh, what you're doing, and I was expecting Richie to be like, hey, I'm gonna watch the national championship game, and Richie drops the, no, I'm going to see John Mayer, I'm going on a date, this is date number 3, and I was like, wait a second, Richie, number 3, so I need the other details. John Mayer sounds incredible, but that's not the main topic of this conversation, Richie,
okay.
So please just give me the small details that you can give on how this is date number 3.
I would say that as far as third date plans go, and I remember this came up with a separate instance where we were talking about like how does a parade sound for like a first date or a second date kind of thing, and there was wishy-washiness, and I know even Jake participated on some of that. I can say unequivocally that John Mayer is a phenomenal third date option. John Mayer is a closer. Okay, that is. There's nothing else I can even say. It works.
So you don't become, because you clearly are a less man when it comes to being a man compared to John Mayer, right? You're less man. But
I'm going to lose that one 10 times out of 10.
But you don't become an overall disappointment because it still shows that you're sensitive enough to appreciate a man like John Mayer.
Yes, I am riding the coattails of John Mayer's talent for my own benefit.
And at any point, she could close her eyes.
Yes. Yes, that too.
So it all works.
It does. It does.
And Richie, finally.
Okay, wait. I need to know, how did we meet this girl before we go down an even darker hole than we're on? How did you meet her?
We met at downtown at a hotel bar.
Nice. I like it.
Classy, right?
Yeah.
Is your body a wonderland?
Yeah. I would say that,
Yeah.
like yes, but like with an asterisk. I would say that like it's kind of like the Toby Keith lyric, like, I ain't as good as I once was, but I was good once as I ever was. You know what I'm saying? Like, I might not be in my prime like John Mayer's body is a wonderland, but I'm all right.
My body is like the movie Vacation when they go to Wally World and they're excited about it, and then they get there and it's all broken down and it wasn't worth going to in the first place.
This is incredible. Okay. I'm sure we're going to hear more about this probably on the drive. I assume Richie will jump on and update everybody over there at some point. But I do want to talk to you both about the White House drama that's going on as we go in the headlines real quick.
Yes.
Where do you both stand on this? Because I find it's very interesting. In case you're unaware, First Lady Jill Biden invited Iowa essentially to come to the White House because she said they played such a good game, and LSU is obviously not happy about it. Richie, where do you stand?
I think it's unnecessary. I think that LSU, I love Caitlin Clark. I think what she and Iowa collectively did was amazing. I did not have as big of a problem with the Angel Reese trash talking, kind of thing as other people did, although I can see both sides of the argument. That being said, traditionally speaking, champions get invited to the White House. The winner gets their flowers in that way. And therefore, LSU, as much as I love Caitlin Clark and as good and deserving as she is for that kind of thing, in this context, LSU doesn't deserve to share that experience with the team that they beat, just like no other champion has before them, men's or women's sports.
I asked Justin Houghton about rivalry with the Raiders, and he goes, every game's a rivalry. And it's like, okay. If you invite both teams to the White House, you actually diminish the accomplishment of the team that won, and You're not doing favors for women. You're making exceptions for women and treating them differently. So why would you do that? It's actually stating, and I'm sure that wasn't the intention by Jill Biden, but she's actually diminishing the level of competitiveness that women would have compared to men. So why, in this particular weird case, would Jill Biden do something that is anti-woman? It is to say it was enough just to be there. And I don't think there's one woman on either team that believes that. I think it was a bad idea. And it shows that Jill Biden's got some work to do in terms of appreciating the competitive spirit of women.
And real quick, I just want to add, the Biden administration has since tweeted out that they're excited to welcome LSU into the White House. No mention of Iowa State. Or Iowa, excuse me.
Jill Biden may not just be a sports fan. I mean, she might not. She seriously, it might be as simple as that she just doesn't understand that she's not.
I would say that if you want to invite Caitlin Clark or the Iowa basketball team up to the White House, there's plenty of reasons why you can do it. It's not like it's not like someone's going to tell you no if you're the president or the first lady in that instance, I would imagine. So just do it a different time. I mean, Caitlin Clark donated like a massive portion, if not all of her NIL money to the community in Iowa. If you want to recognize her for being a great community leader and a pillar in a sport that has gained more eyeballs this season than it has in any season previous, then do it for that. But if you're talking about inviting the NCAA tournament champion to the White House, that has to be LSU and them alone.
Yep. No, I'm with you. A lot of interesting topics we talked about today. Some others may not agree on, some others may agree on, but as always, we appreciate all of your guys' comments. Also, Richie, real quick, who do you want to see first round Nuggets playoffs? Warriors, Clippers, or Lakers?
Gosh, I mean, you would say the Lakers because they just feel like they're bad, but I feel like the Nuggets have always had the Clippers number, and I wouldn't be scared of them either. The Warriors there's just still talent on that team. If I got to pick, the Warriors wouldn't be my pick. I'd say the Clippers.
Okay, sounds good. All right, everybody else in the comments, we appreciate you hanging out with us, and we'll be back tomorrow morning, 10:30 a.m. for another episode of Coffee Break. Have a wonderful Tuesday. If you're not in the Mile High City, I'm jealous because it's snowing here. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye, everybody.
Pray for a fourth date.